Everybody, Bruce Jones here, and this is going to be kind of a different kind of video broadcast I'm going to put together. This is going to I'm going to talk about some things I've been doing this summer and things I'm learning and kind of what I've been doing. I haven't been necessarily on the site all that much. I'll tell you how to publish a book website because I've been traveling and getting out to the world. So basically what I did this summer in September is that I went and walked Hadrian's Wall. So Hadrian's Wall is a wall that goes across England from left to right, sort of on the Scottish, British, English border. And it was built in 122 AD by Emperor Hadrian. And this is the book for it. And it's a very, very popular walk in England. And basically, you walk across England, you backpack, you have your luggage moved, you can you take a day pack with you, you stay in bed and breakfast, and there's a lot of people going west to east and east to west. I went east to west. Let me just show you a little bit about this. Let's see if I can see this here. Whoop, right there. So there's the path, and I started here and walked all the way across, and it's about, well, the trail itself, if you sort of take the distances, is 84 miles. I ended up walking 160 miles because you go around and up and down and over and all over the place. And I did it in 9 days. People do this at all different times. I've done it. I did it in 9 days. A lot of people do it in 6 days. I was supposedly averaging 10 to 12 miles a day, but I was actually probably 15 to 18 miles a day. And this is popular. You kind of set it all up. I used a company called Max Adventure. A lot of people do this. And you go and you kind of walk. And I had great weather. My body worked, my feet worked, my gear worked, the luggage worked. Everything went as I went across the country. Let me just show you. I can show you a couple pictures here. You can see here. So this is me walking. Get this so I can see it here. There we go. So there's me hiking along, and you basically follow along next to the wall. So this is a wall built, as I said, in 122 AD to protect the Roman Empire from Celts and Picts, as they were called, basically people in Scotland, from coming across. So it was about 15 to 20 feet high. Today it's 4 or 5 feet high, and there's only 3 real sections. Sometimes you meet Romans on the way. There's only, if you have the 9 sections, it's really the 2 ends are gone in terms of the rocks. They were taken away centuries ago and built into other things, churches, and barns, and all kinds of stuff. But the middle section exists. So the middle 3 days is right here. You can kind of see it here. And you walk this path. Occasionally you're on top of the wall, but it's only a little section of that. And you also visit Roman forts. This is a big fort at Homestead. You go by, this is a famous tree that you may recognize from a Kevin Costner movie. This is the Sycamore Gap. This is a sycamore tree. I walked down, you can see my little arrow moving there. I walked down this side here. This was a little tricky coming down this path. Here's a nice one up. And it goes along the high ridges or the crags that go between basically Scotland and England. The Romans were very good at building this. It's kind of amazing that they did it. 25 million stones. It took them 6 years to build this. Look at what we do today. You can't even imagine how they could do that when it takes us decades to build sometimes a road. So there's my day pack there. And so this is what I did. So, and then as you kind of walk along, you visit churches like this, and you stay in cool bed and breakfast, and you meet lots of cool people, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I did. But one of the things I did as I went on this walk is I had dinner with a friend of mine. I was going to paint. I was going to watercolor paint. I'll show you what the paints in a moment here. I was going to watercolor paint my way across. That's the thing I was going to do. I was going to take my little watercolor kit, my little kit right here. I'll show you what I had in a second. And I was going to paint. But a friend of mine that I had dinner with the night before I left suggested that I do paintings in the style of different artists. So I thought, that's a cool idea. And so that's what I ended up doing, was painting in the style of different artists. So let me show you what I took with me. And my phone's going nuts over there. So I took 2 notebooks with me. One was a little book that I carried in my pocket, and that was with these little pens, right? So I use these little pens, these little micro, these things, these guys right here, right? So I had these, and you get these in all different widths. You can get them in any art supply store. This is a 0.01. I found 0.02 works really well. 0.05, this is the 0.02 width. Works nicely. 0.05 is a little bit thick, and 0.01 is a little too small. But I basically carried this small notebook. These pens will fit right in here like that. Would go in my hiking pants, and then I would do sketches and things as I went. So let's see if I get that's this way. There we go. But I also carried a bigger notebook, right? So this one went in my regular big pack because I had my luggage moved. So basically, the way you do these trips is you take a day pack with you with water, rain gear, food, and that's what you hike with. And then you have your big pack or your suitcase or whatever moved from B&B to B&B. So I stayed in, hiked 9 days, stayed 10 days. So I had every day the bags would move to the next B&B. It's all set up, and they kind of just haul that stuff across. Let's see if I have that right here. I had the little tag here. Where did it go? Oh yeah, no. So you have a little tag like this on your luggage, like so. This goes on your luggage, and it tells the people. There are people who just drive back and forth across England, and all of these trails. This is a very common thing to do in Europe, is to have these walking trails. So I would take pictures. As you saw some of my pictures, I take the pictures. I would think about each artist for the day. I made sort of a list of artists, and I was just sort of going to try to be influenced a little bit. So I picked Picasso, William Turner, Georgia O'Keeffe, Hockney, just the main ones. And I would look up each day that particular artist. So I'd go on Google and you just Google David Hockney, and you'll just, whatever shows up on Google in that first page, you just basically get an idea of what he wants. So he's a pop movement, printmaker, painter. He used large flat areas, simplified things, and he painted a lot of LA swimming pools and photo collages. So I would just look up each person. Here's my Georgia O'Keeffe notes. But I have this in my head. I take pictures and think about it during the day as I walked. And sometimes I would do little test quickie sketches. Like if you know, William Turner is a British landscape painter known for wild scenes and wild skies and turbulent seas. So this was my William Turner sketch that I did. This was me walking along the River Tyne in Newcastle. And I just did this, and then I went and did a painting later on. So some of these I did this way, some I didn't, some I just kept in my head. This was my Georgia O'Keeffe painting, which you'll see in a second. So I did all that, walked my way across every day, and I kind of thought about it. And I did this for 6 days of the painting. After a while, I just kind of got tired of it and just wanted to go back doing regular painting. But I'd go back to my room at night and get out my big notebook, and I'd write down my log, what I did that day, and then I would do the painting. So here's my, let's see here, William Turner painting, right? So Turbulent Skies. It just was like just sort of influenced by them. I'm not trying to mimic them or copy them. I'm just saying, okay, what do they do? What did I do? It was a great way to sort of do art appreciation while you're hiking. There's my David Hockney. He's famous for doing these sort of Polaroid things. There's another David Hockney influence, big areas of color. This is my Georgia O'Keeffe painting. All right. So there. And let's see here. That's Georgia O'Keeffe. This was another English painter, Thibault, I think William Thibault, something like that. I never heard of him. My sister told me about him. But I just did these every day. And this is my Pablo Picasso painting. So these are the sheep. The sheep all stare at you as you walk by with the little eyes going, and oh, this is that. Just basically, just kind of mimicking what they do. Here's my Rembrandt picture. Right? Oops, it's a little right there. There we go. Whoops, right there. So, cool. And this was the sketchbook. There's my Andy Warhol, right? You know, for those pattern and blocks. And then I got tired of that and started doing regular painting. So this is just a painting of the English countryside. This is called a style. Styles are gates, ladders, steps that get you over a stone wall or a wooden fence. Because on these kinds of trips, England has um, a law on allowing for people to access and walk across private property. So like, I think it's called like public way law or something like that. And so you can walk across on trails, but you're walking with cows and you're walking with sheep and they're all around you and you kind of watch where you step. But you have to go over the fences and over. I probably went over 50 to 70 of these fences using these styles. There's another one. It's just my bed and breakfast that I walked on. So that was what I did, not knowing kind of what I was going to do with it, but it gave me a good thing. Oh, here's me at the end. Yay, I made it. I made it. And my feet were killing me. I could barely stand at this point. That last day was really hard, but it was a lot of fun. And then when I was in England, in London, I went back to London. That's Joshua Reynolds, the person who founded the Royal Academy of Art in London. I just did different paintings. So let me show you what my kit was, and then I'll show you sort of what I'm talking about in terms of publishing and books and all that kind of stuff. Let's put this over here. So my basic kit, because you're backpacking and you want to keep this stuff light, is I had a small, this is the Winsor Newton, has a number of these kind of things. This is my little watercolor set. There's a little brush in there, which I barely ever used. I had other brushes, but this is my watercolor set. I had this cool little collapsible, put this open here, it can go all the way up, cool little collapsible water thing. This worked really nicely, and you can make it big or you can make it smaller, but it goes inside the bag. I basically just used two brushes. I had this brush, which I love this kind of brush, this width, and then I had a smaller brush for more detail. So this is the smaller brush. These are the two brushes that I used. Oops, there we go, right there. And this was just the packaging. I kept it inside of this because it kept it nice to see. I also would have a watercolor pencil that I did, and a regular pencil. I had a pencil sharpener, and then I had those little markers, these little things. These are really nice. They work really well. They last a good amount of time. They're very easy to use, and they're waterproof. So you can make a line, make a drawing, and they don't bleed. Where if you use the watercolor pencils, they'll bleed. So a good example of that is here in my Andy Warhol. You can see I drew the lines first, and then I filled it in. So that's what I carried with me. This is the basic kit that I carried, and the water I have on my back. And it all doesn't look like it, but it all actually fits in here if I squish it down. So that's my stuff. So if you ever get to do one of these trips, this is the book that most people have. There's a number of different companies that do this. There's quite a few of them. It's really popular in England to do these, but you can also do them in Portugal. You can do them in France and Switzerland and all over the place, and a little bit in the United States through some of the national parks. So then what I decided to do, and I put the pictures, all those pictures that you saw a moment ago, right here. I have assembled them and put them into a Shutterstock book just to remember the trip. It's a great way to do it. But I wanted to do something more with my watercolors and try to make a companion book in watercolor that went along with this. So what I did recently is I sat down. It's 9 days of the trip. I had a couple days on the front, a couple days in the back. I had 9 days in the middle. Is I sat down and basically storyboarded out. Oh, this is how a watercolor pencil will work. You can see it's watercolor pencil. You put water on it, you can get some cool effects out of it. Is I sat down and storyboarded out. After I had done the Shutterstock book, I storyboarded out basically a book. So this is every day. So this is day one. And I just sat down. There's about 40 of these. Day two. You can see they're just very, very quick sketches that I put together. The sketches were done extremely fast, and paintings were done probably in under 2 minutes or 3 minutes, something like that. It's just I have too many of them to sit here and struggle with them. And I've also been using a lot, and I'll probably talk about this in another broadcast. I've been experimenting using TikTok. I've been learning about TikTok, and you have a 3-minute limit. So what can you do? And people on TikTok like to see you do something. I've discovered the videos that I do where you're doing something, um, they get pretty good views. So you can do them in real time, or you could do them in time lapse off of your phone. Right? Works off of the phone, and that way you can do a longer video and take your time. People seem to like the time lapse stuff. But anyways, these are so I just storyboarded out, like, how do I, I don't know if I'm going to use all these. I actually really like these. These could almost be a book by themselves. Just photograph them and put them into a book. And I would have it, sort of thinking children's book size, which is 32 pages. But I don't have to be limited to that. If you ever do one of these trips, there is an amazing museum at Vindelandia, right in the middle of the trip, right in the middle, sort of. There's a little tiny town called Once Brewed, and there's a fabulous, there's a place that everybody goes. Everybody ends up this place called Twice Brewed. So it has a brewery, it has a huge hostel, it has an inn, it has a restaurant. Everybody just comes to this one spot, and it's a great place. It's sort of in the middle of your trip, and you've met people as you go. You sync up with people, and you overlap people, and everybody ends up there, and you just have a great night because everybody's just telling stories, because it's just so much fun to kind of do these things. But there's a museum about a mile away called the Vindelandia, which was a fort, a Roman fort. They built 9 of them over 250 years. They take one down, build another one, take one down. And it's got an amazing museum. If you like anything with history or Roman stuff or anything like that, it's the place to go. You cannot miss it. It's worth it. It was kind of raining, so we decided I was with these 2 other guys that I had met on the trail. We decided to blow off the day of walking and just went to go visit this museum and the Roman Army Museum, which is pretty close, and then took a taxi to the next spot. So I walked plenty. There are no walking police. I walked total, I think on the trip, 166 miles, in total 225 miles when you add in all the London stuff I did and all the other walking I did. So I got plenty of walking. And they tell you it's only 84 miles, but it's more than that. So these are just all of these. So then I was like, what am I going to do with them? How do I put this together? You can see them all here. I actually really like this sort of fast, casual. I still may publish something on it. Trying to figure out how do I make a book. This is Carlisle down here. There's tractors running through. This is all farm country. You're walking with cows and sheep. The villages are tiny, but great, friendly people. Lots of good bed and breakfast. Lots of those big English breakfasts. This is coming out to bonus on Solway. This is the end of the trip, and then you kind of make it. So I did all of this. So I had all these. What do I do now? Where do I go with this? All these cool little quickie, sketchy drawings, storyboardy kind of drawings, and so I sat down. I had, for the Shutterfly book, I had written out my journal notes. So the way I do these on these trips is I post this stuff either in Instagram, or I do it on Facebook. I do it usually on both Instagram, share it to Facebook, but I use the Facebook and Instagram to capture all my words. So I did do it here, but a lot of people like to see what I'm doing. So kept my notes there, kept mileage, what I had, what I did, what the experience, all that kind of stuff. But I also put that into Facebook, one, to share it, but the second is it's just a great place to capture it while you're thinking about it. Use Facebook as almost like a blog. Just put all that stuff in there. It's easy. You can access it from anywhere. And then when you're back home, you can just copy it all off. And that's what this is. This is just the text from the daily Facebook post that I would put out. Again, these are all done on the phone. All done on the phone. This was my camera. This is all I took. I didn't bring an iPad because when you're hiking, if you're carrying it, if you bring it, you have to carry it, and it gets heavy, and you just throw stuff away because you can't do it. Like I did another trip where I threw away a whole bag full of stuff out of my pack because it was just way too heavy. So they capture it. So this is too many words, but who knows? But I got them. And then I went and took and cut that down to smaller paragraphs. So these are the same days that were big. Now I have sort of shorter, could go in a book, some kind of a book. Just quickie notes, not all the stuff, just sort of the basic facts. So I have done that. And then I sat and drew out a quick 1-page storyboard of my trip, trying to figure out what am I going to do. So these are the spreads, and this was in a 32 page. So this was sort of thinking about staying in the children's book format size, which is 32 pages. And you can see on here, so there's the travel days. There's going to be a map in here. I have to take this map and repaint it. Different things that I wanted to show are in this. Trying to figure out how am I going to organize this and what am I going to do with it. This didn't necessarily help, but it did get it all into one spot. So then but then I also realized it doesn't have to be 32 pages. I'm not making a children's book. I'm just making a book. So it could be 40 pages or whatever. And these are nice. Use these. This is good. There's different ones of these, but this brand does a nice job if you're doing sketches in watercolor. So then I thought, well, I'm just going to start moving forward and doing these paintings, and let's see where it goes, and it'll just go. So now I'm working bigger and more formal. I'm not trying to be super detailed on any of this stuff. I'm just trying to be more detailed than what I had done in the storyboard quickie ones, where I just sketch stuff out as fast as I possibly can, just to get through it. I did it by looking at the photographs, going, what are the 4 main photographs for any day, and just redrew it. That's all I did. So that was just a quick process to kind of do. Oh, I also carried markers a little bit. For me, I picked these up in London. I liked them. I saw a lot of people using markers. A little bit. I'm still mixed on the sort of watercolor marker thing. So now I'm started on a bigger one. So this is the Strathmore watercolor paper. This is better paper than this. Different. This is a little rough. This is smooth. And so I started to just sort of do the paintings. I'll figure it out when I get there. That's kind of what it is. I know I have this, but I'm still confused of what I want and exactly how to do it and where am I going to put the text. But I'm moving forward with the illustrations because I potentially have quite a few of them. So this is just doing, you can see a little paint tube. This is what you do when you're an artist. You paint the stuff that's sitting next to you. So this is the first one. All right. So that's inside the London station. Actually, let me show you. I don't know if I had that done previous. So this is in line kind of King's Cross Station. And again, it's just, I've been learning about how to do people. So that's something I've been learning, working with shadows and all that kind of stuff. This is the watercolor. One of the problems with the watercolor pencil, the black, which I really like this brand. They're very black. What is the brand? The brand, oh, it's Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell, these work really well. Is that as soon as you hit them with water, they bleed. So you put paint on them, they start to bleed. So you have to kind of decide, do I do this with pencil? Do I do it with pencil? And you can get cool effects with these pencils, which I never really used before, but you can see you can get cool stuff using them. So it's almost like an entire kit in your hand. If you don't want to carry a lot of stuff, you can get sort of watercolor pens. This is just water with a brush. That's it, just water. It's a little water reservoir, and that will blur or blend the pencils, and you can get stuff like this. So if you're just trying to carry something in your pocket really easy, it's an interesting way to do it. Then you come back and do stuff. So there's the Newcastle train station, because that's where you start. That's where I started, Newcastle. And you notice what I've done is I blocked out, here's, as I started my walk. So when you come to Newcastle, you're basically, I walked from east to west. You can walk west to east across England. You can walk east to west. I walked east to west. But the beginning of the trip actually starts a little bit further east than where Newcastle is. So you do that in the first day, you walk out, do it, and there's a metro, and you take the train back. And that's going to a place called Wall's End. And this is along the River Tyne. There's a lot of bridges in Newcastle, and this is me walking out to that. So this, just to show you the difference, between, here it is here. So this is my storyboard sketch. So watch these two. I'm going to show you these two. Here's the storyboard sketch of me walking out to Newcastle bridges. And then this is a signpost out near Wall's End. There was a Roman fort at this point, and you're very close to it at this point. So these are the two sketches that went as I walked out on my first day. And here's the difference. All right, so let me show you. So one's a quickie storyboard sketch, and one is more refined. So this I'm comfortable with for going in a book, though this could be a book too. So who knows? Maybe I'll make the second book. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just going to stop. And the decisions I'm trying to make is, where do I put the type? So this, I'm thinking the square format. Amazon doesn't have a horizontal or a landscape version, so that's options, that's out. So what a lot of people might do, what I often recommend when I'm talking to someone about this, is to do the square format, 8.5 by 8.5. So if you notice, let's see if I can see it. See that line that's here? Oops. I blocked out this page actually at 9 by 9, and I've left this space down at the bottom, maybe to put type in here. All right, so I'm going to try to make every page type could go in here also. I could lay it on and do it in something like InDesign, put the type in. I haven't figured that out yet. This is sort of set up to be a spread, oops, like so. So I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out. But I'm not stopping, because this is like a big project to do this, and I just keep moving with it, and I'll figure it out. And I can just kind of adapt it, put the text on its own page. Here's some pictures, some more text. The next day, here's some pictures. But I also want to mix in these other pictures too. I have lots of other little sketches. Where do we do with it? I have lots of other little sketches that I'd love to throw in. Like here's one from sitting in a bar near the end. This is the last night. This was in the King Ames Hotel or bar. So I have lots of that kind of stuff. Here's the end. This is the little sketch I did for the Andy Warhol. I did it with my pack. So how do I fit all that in, or is it just a book of sketches that I do? If you go on YouTube and just search on YouTube under travel journals, you'll find lots of cool videos on people who put together travel journals. And that's kind of what this is. It's just a travel journal that I want to kind of document what I did while it's fresh. It's also exercise in just improving my painting. It's getting better and better. I haven't painted for quite a while, and I got back into it this summer. You can see up the top there above me. See, I went and did some acrylic painting. You can see there's where I began. Oops. And here's where I kind of ended up. So it's a great exercise to do, because you see yourself getting better and better and better as you just keep doing more and more and learning more. It's kind of fun to do. So that's basically where I'm at with this project. And I'll put up some more stuff on it so people can see it. And as I work myself through and try to figure out what to do with this, and put together this travel journal book of my September walking across England along Hadrian's Wall. So, all right, that's it. Comments, put them below. Whatever you got, put them down. I'll try to answer them. And that's it. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.